Shopping on Facebook Marketplace for a used RC truck. Is it a good idea? I sure hope so. What's up guys, Frank here. Welcome to the South Texas RC channel. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to like and subscribe, share our videos if you are into the RC hobby. In this channel, you'll find my son and I just out having a good time exploring our hobby and making it grow. In this video here, we have just purchased a new RC truck. Well, let me rephrase that, new to us. We went shopping on Facebook Marketplace because if you saw one of our recent videos, my son has totally taken over my Traxxas sledge, so I decided to buy something similar to that realm. In this case, I wanted something that is 8th scale at least and 6S powered. You'll also notice that in my videos, we tend to run our Sledge and Max Slash, which are 6S capable RC trucks, in 4S, mainly because that power level seems to be very attainable, very drivable within that platform. Running them on 6S is a lot of fun, but my son's still small. I don't want him going crazy on 6S. So for that reason, we mostly drive them on 4S. But here we are, and this is what we found on Facebook Marketplace. I went shopping around, I was browsing around for a little while, and I was looking for something within this realm of size, right? 1/8 scale. But I ended up finding something a little bit bigger. This is an ARRMA Big Rock 6S, and I believe it's 1/7 scale. So let's take a look at what we found. In this kit, the owner included the dual 3S battery charger and batteries. This kit, I believe it's like 270 bucks. The truck, if I were to buy all this new, of course, this is 720, which at this point is now discontinued, and this is at 269. So this kit would easily put me over $1,000. So I reached out to the seller just to see kind of what was up with this truck, and he said, you know what, it's gotten a grinding noise. I can't figure it out, and I'm pretty much giving up. So I decided to, we had a short back and forth just to see what his bottom dollar was, of course, and he was ready to get rid of it. So he said, you know what, 350 bucks, it's yours, and hopefully you can figure it out. But kudos to the seller for being transparent on, the issue with the truck, although he didn't know what it was, but it was a grinding noise. So we met up to check it out, and he brought it out of his car, and we opened it up. So I saw the body looked relatively clean. I did notice some damage to the side of the body right here, so it's kind of crinkled up. Not a deal breaker, of course. These things get banged up all the time. But as soon as he took off the body, I noticed that this thing was squeaky clean. Not a dab of dirt anywhere, minimal dirt actually. The wear on the tires makes me think that he mostly ran it on blacktop or concrete perhaps. But overall the chassis was squeaky clean. So he turned it on for us. He drove it up and down the parking lot. And I heard that grinding noise. So I decided, you know what, 350 bucks for a product that would have cost me $1,000 to purchase. I said, let me take a shot, check it out, and hopefully it's a good contender so that I can get my hands on an open wheel kind of truck to compete with the sledge. Again, my son completely took over the sledge. It's a great truck. It's a lot of fun to drive, but I kind of wanted something else to be within that realm of that truck. Open wheeled, kind of truggy style truck. So we'll take it outside, hook up the 3S batteries to it. Again, this is going to be running solely on 6S because I don't have any Spectrum batteries. All my trucks are Traxxas. So this is my first ARRMA truck, so I'm pretty excited to dive into it just to see what ARRMA has to offer. So let's take it outside. Hopefully I can show you what that grinding noise is, and then we'll come back in here and try to open it up to see what that sound or where that sound is coming from. All right, so we brought the truck outside so we can see if we can try and diagnose the issue. I've already looked at the mesh of the spur and pinion and nothing seems loose. So we're gonna try and see if we can find what the issue is. So we're gonna connect the batteries and do a couple of pulls and see what we can figure out. So it does, oh, there it is. I hope the audio is being picked up. There it is. I don't know if you can pick up, you can hear the audio, but it sounds like a cracking sound.
I hear it too, but I don't
So,
know.
You hear it too?
Yeah, I hear it.
So it only does it when you give it a little bit harder of a pull. There it is. So I'm gonna gradually give it throttle. I didn't want to run it on the rocks because I didn't want the sound of the rocks to be interfering with the sound. So I'm gonna drive it a little bit closer to me. Oh, hold on.
Can you see what the problem is?
Yeah, so right here, whoa, here it is. So right here in front of us, or getting it close to us, it sounds like it's coming from the front end. So, oh, you hear that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, hold on. Let me reposition the camera. Hold it, Frank. Okay, I'm gonna reposition the camera because I noticed some wobbling right around the drive cup, but I'm trying to get to see if the camera can pick it up. Give it a little bit of throttle, buddy. No, stop. Just a little blurb, pop, like a hit, right there. Stop. So the drive cup feels loose or looks loose. Can you?
Do you think that the other one doesn't look loose?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I wish I could show you guys what I'm seeing, but essentially the drive cup is wobbling. Give it a little bit of throttle, buddy. Give it a hard pull. No, stop. No. Just one bump like that, hard.
Okay.
One more. Okay, stop. Try to do a little bit less. Go. Stop. Go. Look, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to take apart this front end and expose that drive cup, and hopefully we can get a better view of what we're talking about here. All right, we are back in the studio, and I'm gonna take off the wheel and try to pull apart the arms for the front end to see if we can get a better look of what I'm seeing. All right, we took the wheel off. Now I'm gonna try to remove the shock and get better access to this stuff. Okay, the drive cup from the point of view of the camera. Let's see. Oh yeah. Can you see how loose the drive cup is? Yeah, it's like the gears are loose in there or something. We might, oh, hit the camera. We might have to take that whole front end apart, remove that differential. All right, let's take a little bit of time to remove this front end out so we can expose the differential and eventually the drive cup. All right. Remove these two. Yep. Okay, good. Okay, taking off this pin. Okay, removing this arm, you can see where this cup has been scuffing into that lower arm. I'm gonna work on removing the sway bar to open this up and see if we can get a better look. All right, I got these two right here in front of the drive cups. We're gonna remove them, see if that gives us enough room to take that front diff out. Just two. All right, we have room here. And whoa, something broken here. It's like part of the housing, actually. Oh, actually, I'm gonna have to take this piece off for access. All right, the entire front bumper assembly is now out of the way to make room for the for that front diff to slide out. So it's definitely free. There's a lot of metal here, but I can't tell if it's from this gear here or on the diff housing side. There's definitely a lot of metal here. All right, let's try to dig a little bit deeper and see if we can find what's happening. Because obviously, I'm sure you guys saw what was happening. This thing was twisting, so I don't know. This piece also broke off, so I don't know where this came from. All right, we got some investigating to do. Okay, so I finally devised a theory. Right now, when I took this thing off, this lower ear is what broke off when I removed it, and that piece is right here. So that bolt on the bottom left really wasn't applying any pressure. Also, when I removed this diff cover, these two bolts on top didn't even have any screws. So I didn't notice that until I actually removed it. And I said, you know, that's what I figured out. Hey man, I only took off these bottom ones. The top ones I never removed. So I only removed the two bottom ones. So my theory is that this diff cover wasn't really doing its job, right? So it's supposed to apply pressure evenly down. So without screws on top and this ear on the left broken, it was allowing it to flex, right? Causing it to skip on these teeth and these gears. Now, also, these drive cups left to right are different, which makes me think that these guys maybe took it apart and decided to try to fix it, thinking it was a bad diff cup maybe. You guys that own ARRMA trucks, tell me. I'm not sure if it comes with the black one or this kind of chrome one. Either way, my thought is that there's quite a bit of damage to these teeth, and for the sake of it having a longer life, what I'm going to do is replace both of those gears. That one back here, there's a bunch of metal shavings that have, oh, sorry, hit the camera. There's a lot of metal shavings on them, so they've obviously been clashing. These teeth have definitely gotten some wear. So what I'm going to do is replace that one and this one, put them back, get a new diff cover, and replace these two screws on top, and that should hopefully give me a proper seat for this diff, right? So that's the theory, that's the thought process. I just have to make sure I don't lose anything else here. Okay, so there it is. And check out those flared out teeth, man. So yeah, they definitely took a beating. You can tell that they're completely cut up. All those metal shavings that I found when I opened it up, that's what happened. To remove this, obviously it's just these four, and that should release it. So I'll do that off camera, but yeah, there you go. That's definitely the problem. I don't know if the camera is focusing on it or not, or if it's too close, but yep, that's definitely it. All right, let's look for the part numbers and see if the hobby shop has them. All right, so it's been a few days since I started taking this thing apart. As you can see, the entire front end is completely removed, arms off all the way down to the differential and down to the gears. So I have a list of parts of what I'm gonna be replacing to hopefully get this thing back on the road. Again, this is a used build, so I'm really diving in to this platform. This is the first time I take apart an ARRMA, so it's kind of new to me. But anyway, so the parts I'm going to be replacing is the main input gear. That is ARA 310979. Along with that is the main diff gear. That is ARA 310980. The differential screws that I was missing, when I took it apart, it only had 2 screws holding that diff cover. So I had to buy a set of screws, and that was ARA C9878. While looking at the parts, what was really helpful to find all these part numbers was the exploded views from the ARRMA website. So I was initially just looking for the differential cover, but after talking to my local hobby shop, they suggested, dude, just replace the whole thing. We don't know what the condition of the rest of the housing is. Maybe it got a hit, and maybe it's got a little hairline fracture that you don't know about. But even then, I couldn't just replace the diff cover because it's sold as a set. So the entire housing comes in here, and that is AR310854. So that's the entire housing. I'm also missing the gasket set. That kind of seals the base of the differential housing down to the chassis. So that's the only thing I'm missing to finish this thing off, but it's still a few days away. Another thing I picked up that I may not add to the cost of this is the 80K differential fluid. I don't know if I need it just yet, because I'm gonna open it up, and if it's low, I might as well top it off. And it'll probably help out for my other trucks having this on hand. I also got a little bit of Ret and Tacky bearing grease, and that's what I'm going to use to reapply it when I'm going to install that differential back in. I noticed, or as you saw when I removed that front diff cover, it was running pretty dry. Now I don't know if maybe it went dry because of when the original owner perhaps pulled it off, but that's pretty much what I had to work with. So obviously I'm gonna put some more grease on those teeth, so hopefully they stay cool as well, and lubricate so they avoid any further damage. But that's kind of what I'm working with. So anyway, I'm gonna start assembling this thing while I wait for the gasket to show up. Obviously I can't finish the build until that last gasket shows up, but until then, that's what I'm gonna work on so I can keep moving forward. So I'm going to carefully remove this. I'm pretty sure there's a gasket here somewhere. I just want to make sure I remove it carefully. So, wow. So there you go. As you can see, there's hardly any oil in here. So it's been pretty much running kind of dry. And that is not a good thing. So good thing I bought some extra 80K oil. Or fluid so I can drop in there and top this thing off, but yeah, it's not good. Let's open that 80K oil and top off. I'm not going to remove any of the sun gears either. I'm just going to put some fluid in there, and from what I've read, what you want to do is just put it up to those little cross marks. So I'm going to just top off some oil here. Okay. So I'm just going to let it sit, get into those little spots, because yeah, pretty much those crossbars were exposed, which means it was running pretty low. But this stuff's pretty thick, so I'm gonna give it a moment to settle before I put it back together. All right, so I'm topping off the oil, and I'm just kind of slightly moving that fluid so that it gets down to the bottom. Just make sure I have enough. I don't want to overfill it, because obviously that will cause, I guess, to blow out gaskets and stuff in here. So I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes, letting it sit, and then we'll put the lid back on this thing. So this is what I think the entire problem was on this truck. Basically what was happening is that when I took it apart, it was missing these two screws from the differential cover. This bottom tab on the old cover was missing this, pretty much this ear right here. So what was happening is the only thing holding this thing together was the lower right bolt securing the actual differential. You know, basically these are seats. These are seats for those bearings that hug that differential in place. So when it was under power, it was twisting. So that twist was causing these teeth to pretty much chew up on each other. So I think that was my issue. Hopefully this is enough to solve that problem, so we can put it back on the street here. All right, most of this front end is already on. Last thing left for me to do is put the shocks back on the arms, wheels on, so we can turn it back on and see if we got rid of the problem. All right, assembly is done. Just for the sake of, we already plugged in the batteries. Everything's on, it's running, it works, it turns. Steering trim obviously is just a little bit off, but let's see if it makes that sound. Nope. Nope. All right, let's take it outside. All right. So it looks like that was the problem. This thing's running good. We've been at it for a few minutes now. Frank's been driving it. I drove it. Yeah. Drives good?
Yep.
Yeah. So it looks like problem solved. Truck's running good. We'll put it through its paces another day. This is just kind of getting it out. Does it work? Did what we do fix the problem? I would say yes, it did, right, buddy? I would say yes, it did. So it's running good. We pretty much have about 400 bucks, about 430 bucks. I'll do the math on the screen from the parts that I did, but we're basically around 400, 450 bucks for a kit that would have cost me about $1,000. So I think that's a good deal. All right, so we're back in the studio. The truck runs great. It seems problem is solved. It looks like everything that we replaced took care of the problem. So let's just do a little recap. I purchased this ARRMA Big Rock 6S for 350 bucks, and we put $60 in parts. That being the main input gear, the differential gear itself, some diff screws, the differential housing as well, and the gaskets, right? The gasket seal, the seal that goes underneath the diff that hugs the bottom of the frame. That was 60 bucks total. Adding that to the cost of the vehicle, so we spent $410 on this vehicle. So was it a positive? So far, absolutely, right? It was a good purchase. I would have otherwise spent $1,000, give or take, for this exact kit, being the truck, the charger with the dual 3S batteries. So for us, absolutely worth the cost. And again, this is just so that we can have another vehicle for us to race or drive against with the sledge. Something similar, right? That was kind of the goal here, so that way my son can have, or my son and I can have a similar platform and we can go out there and just bash together, right? That's the whole purpose of what we do. Another thing I did pick up was the Traxxas to IC5 connector for this, to be able to run a single 4S battery. Again, my son's 7 years old, so I don't, not that I don't trust him, he's gotten really good at driving, but I want him to get a little bit more used to the power before I let him go full out on 6S. But so far, that's gonna be the way to go for us for a little while. But just some closing thoughts. If your goal is to jump into the hobby, buying new, buying used, everybody's trying to save a buck, right? So in this case, this was a success. If you're confident, taking stuff apart, rebuilding it back together, this is a great way to go. If something like this you're apprehensive about it, then you're not maybe confident in tearing down a vehicle or assembling all that stuff, this may not be an option for you. But I will say the exploded views that are on the websites from the manufacturers are super helpful. I haven't been doing this for very long, but I am mechanically inclined, so I was confident enough to take on a task like this. So I was okay. But if you are going to do something like this, I do recommend you guys browse the manufacturer's website for those exploded views. Those exploded views show you all the parts numbers, and how, the assembly, how it's put together. So that was very helpful for me for this build itself, so I can find all those parts numbers so I can go locate them. In this case, the difficulty in my part of the country is parts availability, right? ARRMA is not as easily available as Traxxas is in my case. That could be different in your part of the country or part of the world. So that's one of the reasons why I think Traxxas is very popular, at least here, that parts availability, if I go down to my hobby shop, I know for a fact they're gonna have them. So that's just one of the limitations with what you buy. In my case, I waited about a week to a week and a half to get all my parts in to be able to tear this thing together. So I had this all the parts here on my workbench just waiting for me to piece together. But at the end of the day, it worked out well, and we saved a bunch of money as well. So if you found value in this video, I would love it if you'd subscribe, share the video, keep watching us. You'll see us battling it out with my son, getting some different experience with our RC trucks. And that's what it's all about, spending time with my son, having fun, and learning more as we go. Now, get out there, have some fun, and we'll see you on the next one.